Salute, MobTube. How is everybody today? Let's see. Miss Can't Be Wrong, M. Soretti, Sungrown Trachome, Beck Brooklyn, Dave, Ghetto Press Productions, Matty G, Jesse Roth, Eagle Plumber, and Johnny the Greek. I think that's it for right now. So we'll give it a little bit, try to gather some sort of crowd, and we'll see how many people we can get. I'm still feeling pretty bad. It's very strange. Yesterday was a fairly good day. I felt good for most of the day. Well, relatively good. And then I went to bed around 2 a.m. and I couldn't get out of bed today. And I just feel terrible. I have a very severe headache and a little shaky. And I don't know. It doesn't seem like this thing is going to go away. But I'll work through it. So since I'm not exactly with it today, I'm going to kind of freestyle this one. So you guys in the chat, tell me what you want to talk about, addiction and recovery related, and we'll talk about that. I don't really have a topic for you today. I apologize. Really, Miss Can't Be Wrong? Yeah, who knows what it even is? I don't know if it's the flu. I don't know what it is. Gator light, huh? Maybe I'll try that. Johnny the Greek feeling sick, guys. Snap, Chris. I'm in bed listening. Have a good show, my man. All right, bro. Well, get some rest. Hope you feel better soon. Everybody's sick. Everybody's sick. You know, I was thinking about a bunch of addiction and recovery related things before this show, as I usually do. But I couldn't come up with a particular topic. You know what I mean? So I figure, like I said, we'll talk about whatever. I'll tell you one thing. Whatever this illness is that I have is giving me the shakes. And that brings back bad memories. Anybody who's ever been through alcohol withdrawal knows what I mean. Even benzo withdrawal. It's not fun. You know, you feel like you're not in control of your body. Hands are shaking pretty severely. Nothing like alcohol withdrawal, but still. Oh, really, Miss Can't Be Wrong? Great. Me, I think it's the opposite. Now it's in my head. Sorry, I keep looking out the window, guys. When I have it open, I'm very curious about the cars driving by. I don't know why. I guess old habits die hard. You know what I mean? But that's one thing we could definitely talk about, withdrawal. You know, I was thinking about a story before this show. I don't know if I ever told it, but there was a time when I was 19 years old. And of course, you know, I was underage, so I couldn't buy alcohol of my own, which makes being an alcoholic very, very difficult, miserable, you know. You can't even get what you need on your own. You have to rely on somebody else to get it for you. It's like having a prescription waiting at the doctor's office, but they won't let you pick it up. You got to get a stranger to do it, you know. So there was this one time I was living with my mom. We were living in an apartment. I was 19. I was severely addicted to alcohol and, you know, liquor, to be specific, because I've always found that addiction to, say, drinking beer is a hell of a lot different than being physically addicted to having a hard liquor habit like I had, you know? And I used to drink this stuff. Sorry, guys, I'm messing with this, trying to make sure this is straight back here. You know me. I used to drink this garbage called Kasser's vodka. I don't know. Does anybody remember Kasser's, Kassers? It was $5.99 for a fifth. $5.99. It's like drinking turpentine. I want to see if anybody remembers that. Be honest. I don't even know if they make it anymore. It was a long time ago. You're talking about the late 90s. I don't take anything that starts with a Q, but I'm not surprised Miss Can't Be Wrong. They're always being recalled. You remember that, Miss Can't Be Wrong? Yeah. Yeah, it was terrible stuff. I mean, listen, to me, all vodka's terrible. All hard liquor's terrible. I've never been the type of guy that could sit there and drink like a scotch on the rocks or something. You know what I mean? Even when I was severely addicted, I had to drink what I could and then just chase it with something right away, or it would just hit my stomach the wrong way. I'd be throwing up. That's even when I was very, very severely addicted to liquor. But anyway, my goal every single day was to get at least 1/5 of Kasser's vodka. Okay. And that would usually get me through the day. At least in the beginning, it did. Then it, started to take a little more than that. I was closer to a half gallon at one point. But I remember waking up one day in my mom's apartment. I was in my bedroom and I was so sick from withdrawal. I only had a little bit left, maybe 3-4 shots. So I took that. And it was just enough, I knew, to get me through the next couple of hours before I got very, very sick again. And time was passing. I couldn't get anyone to get me liquor. You know what I mean? My mom was not doing it. There was no way. I didn't even bother asking. I was in bad shape. The withdrawal was so bad at one point, I was banging my head against the wall as hard as I could, trying to knock myself out. That's how bad it was. Anyway, I wound up having to call an ex-girlfriend's mother, who I was very, very close with. And she had at one point in her life been married to a severe alcoholic, so she knew what the withdrawal was like, so I knew she'd understand. And I had to basically beg her to go to the liquor store and pick me up a bottle and drop it off at my house. And she did. Thank God. And that's what probably saved me, at least that day. But it's funny because my mom would never get me the liquor because she thought, like a lot of people think, you don't need it, you just want it. You know what I mean? A lot of people think that. They don't understand withdrawal. They don't know that alcohol withdrawal will kill you. They don't know. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't have that knowledge. Why would you? It's not a general knowledge type of thing. But after I had my seizure and the doctors and stuff explained the alcohol withdrawal to my mom, she realized then, oh shit, all those times he was begging me to get him liquor, he needed it. He needed it or he was going to die. And, that's just one story I was thinking about. I was thinking about that. What a terrible day. I don't miss that. And that's another thing that's got me very down and depressed the last few days about being sick. It all brings me back to a dark time, feeling like shit, being in bed all day. I hate that. Guys, you know me. I've talked to you a million times about it. I love being productive. It's my number one favorite thing to do. I like to get up, get ready, and go out and do shit. Do a show, whatever, and then go out, do my business, whatever I got to do and get home. And when you're sick like this, you just can't. Like today, I so badly wanted to get out of bed, but I just couldn't. I had this severe headache, and I just felt like shit. And I do now. I feel fucking terrible. And it brings me back to that because that's how it is when you're addicted. You know what I mean? You're always sick. You're always sick. And you're living like a sick person. You're living like a dying person, really, because you are. You are a dying person. When you're severely addicted to anything, it's only a matter of time. There's even people on here, that you have to be concerned about from time to time. You can see their addiction and what they're going through. You know what I mean? And a part of you feels bad for them. You empathize with them. Part of you just wants to shake them. And almost force them to try to get themselves some help, but you can't. You can't force anyone to get help. They have to be willing to do it on their own. With other things, you will want to die withdrawing, but won't. But with booze, it can happen. Oh my God, yeah. It's hard to surrender to be sick. I know. And that's why everybody tells me just rest. Don't do a show. Don't go anywhere. Just rest. I can't. I don't have it in me. I'm too goddamn stubborn to just lay it down. You know what I mean? I can't do it. It's probably the only reason I'm alive today. Is because all those times that I was on the verge of dying, I just refused to. I felt like there was too much to do yet. And that's how I am with being sick. I can't accept it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it certainly does, Iceman's Poison Cheeseburger. People say, well, if you were their friend, you would get them help. It's like, come on, if the person doesn't want help, there is nothing you can do. So people need to think about that. Yeah, it's true. And I understand why some people see it that way. You know what I mean? But that's, another thing about being, I guess, uneducated about addiction is that it's not common knowledge. It's not something that the ordinary average person knows that, you can't force a person to get help. They think if you force them into a hospital or something, all good, they're done, clean and sober, nothing to worry about. No. You can't. Even if you force a person into a goddamn rehab, they can leave whenever they want, unless it's court ordered or something. They can leave whenever they want. So they have to want to be there. They have to want to be in a facility. They have to be willing to accept help, and they have to want to change. And that's not easy because when you're severely addicted to anything, you're not thinking with your brain. You're thinking with your addiction. You're not using any type of logic or reasoning skills. No, you're thinking. You're doing whatever your addiction is telling you to do, and your addiction is telling you to keep using and avoid help at every turn. It's the way it is, and you don't have much of a choice but to listen, especially if you're physically addicted. I mean, listen, physical withdrawal is so goddamn painful and miserable that just the very idea of having to suffer that for 24 or 48 or 72 hours will stop someone from trying to get help because they know that they're going to be facing some withdrawal if they go to a facility. The thing is, and this is what I try to tell people who've never been there, it's not really like that. You will be uncomfortable at first. The first few hours you get there or whatever, they're going to do an intake. They're going to check you out. They're going to search you. They're going to, look you over medically, whatever. They're going to take a lot of information from you, do some paperwork. But then they're immediately going to get you medicated and feeling comfortable again. If it's alcohol, they may put you on Librium or whatever they're using now. Shanna told me recently they're using something different now, I believe. I can't remember what it was called. But they'll get you comfortable. And trust me, Librium, for example, I don't know how that shit's made. I'll tell you what, it's not like any other benzo out there. I won't say it mimics alcohol, but it takes the withdrawal away. I mean, it makes you feel better instantly. At least in my experience, it did. And they'll keep you on that for a few days, and they might put you on some other things too, things that'll help you sleep, anxiety medication, shit like that. And before you know it, you're not physically addicted anymore. You've made it through detox, and now your only duty really is to start working on getting better, attending groups, meetings, shit like that, and just start working on yourself. That's it. But the initial part, they'll take care of. You'll suffer for 4 or 5 hours after getting to rehab. That's about it. But even then, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. It's not like being on the street or at home where it's like, oh, the withdrawal might kill me. No. You're in a facility with all types of medical capabilities. They will make sure you're alive and well. You know what I mean? To see the next day. So even if you're suffering a little bit, it's temporary, and then it all gets better. And then you can start a whole new life, like I did. Let's see what else you guys have to say. They will do everything they can to help. Yep. Yeah, I think so too, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Shanna's not awake, or I would ask her. But yeah, there's something new they use, I believe. Well, it's not new. It's not new. I just think they're using it now. Like I remember when she told me what it was, I had heard of it before. But it's what they're using, I guess, maybe in place of Librium now. I'm not sure. Or maybe that's just that certain facilities. Who knows? You never know. It could have something to do with the cost. It could be a bunch of different things that dictate what they use at any given time. Let's see. I went through hell for 2 weeks coming off both drugs and alcohol. I believe it. You certainly can. And, I don't know about like opiates and stuff. See, I couldn't tell you what the exact process is for how they get you comfortable, coming off of opiates. But I know they can do it. I know that the place I was in, there was a girl, very, very wealthy girl. Her parents would send her to rehab all over the country just in hopes that, one of them would finally work for her. Spoiled brat girl, typical young, just spoiled rich girl with the drug addiction who had no desire whatsoever to get better. And her parents thought they could force it on her. And she was there when I got there, and she left shortly after, I arrived, maybe a week or two. And then probably about 5 or 6 days before I left, she came back. And she was on heroin and bath salts and Molly and all kinds of shit. And I will tell you this. Whatever cocktail she was on, I watched her spaz out, so to speak. I don't know a better way to describe it, for a good 24 hours. I mean, running around the facility, itching and scratching and reaching for shit like, she was hallucinating, and just going berserk, talking to herself. And it looked like the most miserable, uncomfortable thing I've ever seen a person go through. But I don't even think she knew she was going through it. She was so fucked up. And she had so many substances in her body, they did refuse to medicate her until she was, in the clear. So they made her wait a good day and a half. But like I said, she was so out of it, I don't even think she knew that she was suffering. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, of course. Everything depends on money when it comes down to it, Miss Can't Be Wrong. They give you heart meds like clonidine for opioids. Is that right? I mean, look at Promises Malibu. I think it's called Britney Spears went there. So did Lindsay Lohan, I think. Yeah. Well, that's what the rehab I went to. They were owned by Promises. It wasn't like the one in Malibu, but the closest thing you were going to get probably in this part of the country. Yeah, a place like that, I mean, if you can afford it, you're good. You know what I mean? They'll make you comfortable no matter what. It's the best of the best treatment. Oh, yeah, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Absolutely. I wanted to get clean and sober. I was on alcohol and drugs after 20 years. Wait a minute. I wanted to get clean and sober. I was an alcoholic and drugs after 22 years of addiction. Okay, I don't really understand, but yeah, 22 years is a long fucking time, bro. 22 years is a long time, especially to be cross addicted, alcohol and drugs. See, my thing was not really, that's why I always say on and off. I was not like consistently addicted for all that time. You know what I mean? I had periods of sobriety. I had periods where I just quit. Like I would get for example, I'll go over something. In 99, I had the seizure. Okay. I quit everything after I got out of the hospital. I probably didn't have another drink till about 02, 03, something like that. And even then, I would drink on the weekends. I would drink maybe when I was DJing, but that was it. I mean, I could drink DJing on a Tuesday night, get up Wednesday morning and go to my catering job. And I didn't drink again until the next night I DJed, maybe Friday night. And I did that for years. And I wasn't even really using Coke then. I was just drinking. Then around 2005, I started selling Coke again. And I started doing Coke. And still, I was okay for a while. But then some personal things went on in my life. And I started using both pretty heavily. And then I got severely addicted, like around the end of 2006. And I had to be medically detoxed. I was medically detoxed in the very beginning of 2007, January of 2007. That's when I was involuntarily committed. And then I was clean for a while. But then when I started again, it was the same thing. Till about 2012, if I drank, it was once a week on the weekends, or it was maybe a couple times a month. You know what I mean? And even if I did Coke, I would do Coke. Like I remember one time I was out at a bar with a girlfriend who had never even seen me do Coke. She was, basically, we had just gotten together not long before. And I was at a bar and I found a dude that I knew from the street, and I grabbed an 8-ball. And I had her drop me off after the bar, told her I wasn't feeling well, and I got high for like the next day, you know what I mean, and drank and shit. But then, boom, when that was over, I went back to work, and I probably didn't even have another drink for like a month, and I was just a regular drinker, like any other social drinker for years. And then 2012 rolled around, and I went all in because, again, some personal issues in life. And, then I got pretty bad. And in 2014, the heart thing happened. And again, I was medically detoxed. And, after that, I kept using, and it just got more and more severe until 2019. I'm glad you had the results you've had, FBS. I got to give credit to love. I'm a hopeless romantic. Well, that certainly was a big part of it. Thank you, Miss Campy. I believe love heals all. I'm sorry. I believe love heals wounds. Call me crazy, but I know it does. Oh, there's no doubt about it, for sure. Shanna came into your life, you came into hers, and it's worked. Yes, it has. Yeah, that's why I always give her so much credit, of course. Without Shanna, there's no point in even discussing it. You know what I mean? I probably, I would have stayed clean and sober for a while after I left rehab. I would have probably tried to start some sort of new life because I was determined to stay clean and sober even before me and Shanna started dating. But eventually, I would have gone right back to the street. And with that, right back to addiction. Because I would have said, fuck it. You know what I mean? I would have said, who cares? Like, if I was all alone again and shit, I would have said, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? At that point, my daughter is basically grown up, doing her own thing. I don't have a lot of family or anything. A lot of my friends have families of their own, so I probably would have just said, fuck it. and went right back to some really bad shit. And I'd either be in prison now or dead. There's no question about it. No question. Yes, Brian Miller, you're absolutely right. You do. Yeah, Miss Can't Be Wrong. It's true. Me and Shannon talk about it all the time. You know, we've made each other better throughout our relationship. And every year, we've been fortunate enough to do better than the year before. You know, so we brought a lot of positivity into each other's lives. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, Miss Can't Be Wrong. It's very important feeling like you have a reason. Because if you don't, you feel hopeless. You don't care. You know, I mean, who wants to get healthy if they feel like they have nothing to live for? You know, and that was my thing before rehab, right before. I was at a very lonely time in my life, one of the loneliest ever. And I just wanted to fucking die. And I don't think that would have been a whole lot different after rehab if I hadn't found Shanna and made amends with certain people in my family. You know what I mean? And started living a different life. Because nothing else really changed. You got to remember, before I went to rehab, I worked at that factory I told you guys about where I built Harleys. I worked there for years. I worked there for like, I don't know, 2.5 years or something before I went to rehab. And then when I got out of rehab, I went right back to work there. You know what I mean? So everything stayed the same. The only difference is I wasn't staying in a goddamn hotel anymore. I went to live basically at my brother's. He had like my own little crib for me there, basically. And, you know, my living situation was a little different. Other than that, life would have remained pretty much the same. And the place I was working, I've told you guys about. I mean, it's not exactly conducive to a healthy lifestyle. That is a place that hires nothing but ex-felons, ex-convicts. You know what I mean? And most of their employees are straight out of state prisons, halfway houses, recovery homes, you know, things like that. So it was filled with drugs. I'm talking about this, just in this factory, okay? If you knew enough people, because there was a lot of people, the place employed like 1,200 people, you could buy an ounce of Coke from one guy and sell it to a bunch of other people during a single shift. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, or heroin or anything. And there was so many recovering drug addicts and active drug addicts that I'm not bullshitting you when I tell you there was many nights I could not get into the bathroom because the paramedics were in there and Narcaning the shit out of somebody. I don't know if you could turn Narcan into a verb, but I just did it. You know, they were trying to bring somebody back who overdosed in the fucking bathroom all the time. All the time. Was it last night I told the story, I think, or recently about a guy that I found in I don't remember if it was on a show or during a private conversation. No, I think it was on here last night. Yeah. I talked about finding a guy in a Mercedes parked behind my car who was slumped over and foaming at the mouth. And I went and got my supervisor, and the paramedics came, and they hit him with the Narcan, and he shot up like a fucking rocket. Yeah, it was that type of place. There was people ODing just all over the fucking factory. It was unreal. And a lot of crime went on in there. It was like a small city. It was in an enormous fucking factory. I mean, the size of this place, you know, it took from where I worked, it was no lie, it was a 5-minute walk to the front door to go smoke a cigarette. And that was only the front doors at the halfway point. Okay. So basically, it's huge. It was like a small city, a little ghetto. That's what this workplace was like, this environment, this particular factory. It was bad. It was bad. I always said, you know, waiting to clock out. It was like a scene from The Principal. Remember that movie? Or no, not The Principal. Lean on Me. Lean on Me. Just a bunch of thugs and criminals, ex-convicts standing around. It always reminded me of pre-class, in the county. It was a bad fucking place to work, man, especially if you're trying to stay clean and sober or away from the criminal lifestyle. Because there wasn't anything you couldn't get involved in right there at work. What do you do when you feel purposeless, FBS, I may ask? Well, this is where I fall short as opposed to maybe an educated, drug and alcohol counselor. I don't exactly know. My simple answer would be to look for purpose anywhere you can find it, even if it's a pet that you're responsible for, or a job that depends on you to show up every day, or maybe there's a fucking neighbor that looks forward to seeing you every day or getting a phone call from you. Anything. I would even say that if you can't find purpose, try to create some. Like I said, get a pet, make friends, even if you can get, if you're capable of maybe a little part-time job, 4 hours a day, if that, maybe 15, 20 hours a week. And find purpose anywhere you can. But when you feel purposeless, if you can't find any, I don't really know the answer, because I felt that way many, many times. Many, many times. People go through that a lot with empty nest syndrome and stuff. Their kids grow up, they're out of the house, and it's like, the fuck do I do now? But when you're at rock bottom in an addiction and you don't have shit, it's very easy to feel like you have no purpose. But like I said, my only advice would be to look for and find purpose anywhere you can. Find something to do. Find someone to depend on you, and give yourself purpose if you can. Like me now, I know. First of all, I have this. Like, I know if I fuck up, I let possibly thousands of people down, but most importantly, the people I love and that love me. My wife, my stepkids, my daughter, my mother, my friends, and personal friends. They come first, of course. Those are the first people I'm always the most concerned about letting down. And I know I would be in a major way. I'd be breaking their hearts. And myself too. I'd be letting myself down. I'd be disappointing myself in a major way. But I have this too. This isn't exactly like a regular job. I have a lot of fucking people that count on my shows every day and hearing what I have to say and stuff like that. So I'm very, very fortunate to have all this, because anytime I might think about using or something, I have a lot to think about losing, a lot of people that could be hurt by it. But it's not easy when you're alone, because the only person you have to disappoint is yourself. And if you don't care about disappointing yourself, why not use, right? That's the mentality. But it's not the answer, because let me tell you something, being that you all know my story. And I tell this to friends of mine too, on and off of YouTube, who are alone. Life is funny. Like, it could change in an instant for the better. Could also change for the worse, of course. It happens. But it could change for the better just as quickly. Like, you could be completely and entirely alone today. And in your mind, you feel like you are going to be alone forever, that it's never going to end. And then tomorrow, you could be going out to your mailbox or taking a trip to the store to get a pack of cigarettes or a drink or going grocery shopping, whatever, and meet the love of your life. And overnight, you could have, a new partner, spouse, a new family, a new home, a new everything. Everything can change. So Even though it seems like you only have yourself to disappoint at the time, so why not fucking relapse or continue to keep using? That's never the answer, because you don't know what opportunities you might miss out on if you do that. You know what I mean? If you stay clean and sober, even though you might feel like you have no purpose, you might feel like you're going to be alone forever, you always got to remember that life could change in an instant. And all of a sudden, you could find yourself happier than you've ever been in your entire life. It could happen to any one of us. Happened to me. It happened to me. And I didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve anything good to happen to me. I was a pretty bad guy. I did good things in my life, lots of them. Okay, but I also did a lot of bad. And in general, I was a bad fucking person. So I didn't deserve, this sudden windfall of good fortune. You know what I mean? I didn't. And I had no idea it was coming, but it did. So if it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone. Oh, there you go. Kimberly here listening. Don is at work. We prescribe for severe alcoholics thiamine to prevent alcoholic brain damage. Oh, shit. Anticonvulsants such as gabapentin, Tegretol, and of course benzodiazepine for short-term withdrawals. Well, thank you very much, Kimberly, for the information. There you go, guys. Sounds like Mrs. Don Berlin is just as brilliant as Mr. Don Berlin, huh? Miss Can't Be Wrong. This lady said in the ER, my son doesn't do drugs. The doc popped him with the Narcan and looked at the mom and said, yes, he does, or this wouldn't have worked. Oh, shit. I must have missed the beginning of the story. I'm sorry. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, well, some people are in plain old denial, especially when it comes to their kids. They always say, not my child, or no, he would have never done that, or she doesn't use drugs or alcohol. I know it for a fact. You don't know what the fuck your kids are up to. Trust me, nobody does. You can't, unless your kids are fucking, unless you keep them locked in the house all day. And kids are pretty slick when it comes to hiding shit. Kimberly here, correct. Primary anti-withdrawal drug is anticonvulsant to include high doses of gabapentin and Tegretol or Dilantin. All right, well, good to know. I did my best, Iceman's Poison Cheeseburger. Miss Can't Be Wrong. Sometimes you feel like you're just in a dark hole you can't crawl out of, but trust me, the sun will come out. Yeah, and you know what? It's not just my current situation or what happened to me while I was in or immediately after rehab. My whole life, that's one thing I've always said. I'm so fortunate and lucky. My whole life, just when I've been at the end of my rope, so to speak, and I felt like this is never going to get better. Nothing is going to save me. I'm going to die, or I'm going to go to prison for the rest of my life, and there's nothing I can do about it. Something comes along, or someone. I've been given a lot of fucking chances. That's why I don't plan on fucking this one up. Purpose can also begin in simple things that you enjoy. Raise a plant and start a garden in your home and tend to it. Kimberly, I wish you could join us here and give some advice, but doing it from the chat is just fine. Yeah, it's a good idea. Anything. Find some responsibility, even the smallest of things. You know what I mean? Start with that. I'm both an alcoholic and addict, and I also suffer from bipolar. Yeah, that's tough. But 22 years, bro. Now you're clean and sober. I give you a lot of credit, man. That's commendable. Congratulations. National Addiction Depression Hotline right there. Make the is that a different number than this one? Yeah, it is. Make the call first day of the rest of your life. Don't suffer alone. Make the call. Good advice. Thank you, Harvester of Sorrow. There was always tomorrow. Hold on to that. Turn things around. Hey, Jane Creek, how are you? Let me see something. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. That's where the beginning of your story. I get it. The lady swore the reason he was laying there unresponsive wasn't drugs. Yeah, listen, some people are good at that denial shit, man. Or it's just it's not even that necessarily. Maybe she just had no fucking idea, no reason to believe the kid had ever done drugs. You know what I mean? A lot of parents, first of all, we've already talked about addiction to pills and stuff is a very dangerous addiction because it's very easy to hide. So a kid using pills, you might not notice it, especially considering the times he might use them. Maybe when he's not around you, maybe before he goes to sleep at night, maybe when he's out with his friends, whatever. You would have no idea. All you see is your normal child every day. You don't know what they're up to. And then one day, or maybe they didn't have a problem at all. And then they just took one fucking pill, because that happens too. The first time they try a fucking pill, they could OD or it could have fentanyl in it. It could kill them. You know what I'm saying? Or it could just be dope, heroin. Maybe it's the first time they tried it, or maybe they were addicted, but they were hiding it well. You can't even blame parents, really, because there's no way of knowing sometimes. I try to stick to my marijuana, and occasional beer is okay. The liquor is what gets me. Listen, if you can control it. Impeach Creepy Joe, FBS. I've been watching you for a year, maybe a little longer. You genuinely love your supporters on YouTube and do a lot of good for your YouTube community of people. Thank you, Impeach. I appreciate your support. And yeah, bro, I do. I you don't understand. Like when I say I love you guys, like I'm not bullshitting. You don't realize what I like. I feel like I owe to you. You know what I mean? Because this channel has changed my life in so many different ways, most of which were very positive ways. And without you guys, I don't have that. You know what I mean? I don't have that. So it means a lot to me. And all of your support means the world to me. That's why any of you ever reach out to me and need something and I can help, I'll absolutely do it. You know what I mean? It's I never imagined that I would have something like this. You have to understand that if I didn't have this channel and the support of all of you, I would have probably just gotten off work from a bullshit factory job in some dump of a building, um, uh, breathing in chemicals and fucking doing all types of shit I shouldn't be doing considering my health situation and all that. And I'd probably be bringing home $500 a fucking week or something. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I truly appreciate each and every one of you guys. I really do. I really do. I used to get mad at my mother when she refused to see why my brother was stealing from her. Yeah, that's another thing. That's real denial right there when people just refuse to see what's right in front of them because they don't want to believe it. It's understandable that they don't want to believe it, but it's hard to deal with somebody who's in that type of denial. Kimberly here. I can come on Thursdays after 4 as I have patients before if people would like to hear from a clinical addiction therapist perspective specializing in trauma medicine. Yes, anytime, Kimberly, anytime. I would be more than happy to have you on. Parents have no idea. My dad was shocked when he found out about my addiction. Well, I'll tell you the truth. So was my mother when she found out about mine. And it wasn't the alcohol. Like, my mom knew I had been drinking. But the first time I ever told her that I had been using cocaine, I can still see her face. And it's one of the most heartbreaking fucking memories I have, because, my mother and my father never did drugs, ever. They weren't even drinkers. You know what I'm saying? And they always raised me not to do drugs. And the first time I ever told my mom about my cocaine addiction, she was fucking devastated. It's one of those things I kind of wish I would have forgotten, you know? My mother refused to see it for years, but as long as my dad was alone, he sheltered my mother a lot. Oh, alive. Okay. I was like, what do you mean alone? Okay. So when he was alive, he kept her from it, but once he was gone, there was no more denying it, I guess, right? Impeach Creepy Joe. I'm so glad all my kids are past the drug stage in life and all doing well. I pray all kids don't do drugs, a little weed, all I do. Yeah, impeach, man. It's a good thing to pray for, bro, because it is, drug and alcohol addiction, I think, especially drug addiction, affects the kids more than, it seems to be more prevalent among youth anyway. I could be wrong. I'd say alcohol addiction is probably more prevalent amongst adults, whereas kids, they begin to experiment. And it's not like when we were kids, Impeach, and you're probably a little older than me, but still, even when I was a kid, even if you experimented with drugs, you're going to start out with a little weed, you might do a little coke, maybe a little acid. That's about it. Now, if you're a kid, the first fucking thing you're trying is probably cocaine, and then next level up is going to be what? Either dope or pills. And I'll tell you the truth, it might even be pills before cocaine at this point, because all the fucking rap music and everything else is about doing goddamn fucking pills. It's absurd. It's all about Xanax and shit, Percocet. So, they're fucking with pharmaceuticals. It's not like the street drugs we had, bro. I remember Bill Maher did a thing on his show one time about how, all these celebrities have died in recent years, even including like Michael Jackson and shit. And most of them now, it's not like back in the day, you had some obvious rock stars and stuff OD'd from heroin, shit like that. But back, in the days when we were kids and the generations before me and stuff, it was street drugs. And most people were not dying from street drugs, even heroin. You know what I'm saying? Back then. But now, all the people you see dying and stuff, for the most part, and celebrities included, is from some sort of pharmaceutical. It's some sort of prescription medication, even if it's not prescribed to the person who took it. You know what I mean? It's a pharmaceutical. It's not, you're not really seeing people dropping fucking dead from cocaine and just straight heroin anymore. It's different. Because now, I I don't even know if there's such a thing as just heroin anymore. Every fucking thing has fentanyl in it. Or it's got so many fucking different types of cut and shit that you don't even know what the fuck you're taking. You know what I mean? It's just not like it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's not even like it was 20 years ago. Thank you, Miss Can't Be Wrong. We try to be. Jane Creek, I love this community. It's my escape from the real world and all the nonsense. I hear you, Jane. Listen, I'm not even going to lie to you guys. There's days I've had where I've been relieved not to do a show. But for the most part, it is a weird type of addiction to me. Like, I don't feel right if I didn't, get to express myself for the day and say what I want to say and get to talk to all you guys. You know what I mean? I love it. I love it too. I talk to Gunsmoke all the time about how lucky we are to have these channels and have all of your support. You know what I mean? It's very important to us. Yeah, Miss can't be wrong. It's a shame what we put them through. Next Thursday, 4:30, I will call to confirm as Don has your number. See you all at that time. Sounds good to me. Thank you, Kimberly. That's great. Xanax is evil as fuck. Yeah, it is. It is. It's a bad fucking drug, man. Real fucking bad. I don't even like to think about some of my experiences on Xanax. So fucking terrible. And that's the thing about like the family of benzodiazepines. They're all so different. Like in my mind, you can't compare Xanax to any other fucking benzo. I mean, it has its own. I don't know. I won't say side effects, but it does things to you that certain other benzos just don't do. It's bad. And I've been on Klonopin, Valium, Ativan, and Xanax. Xanax I was never prescribed, though. The other ones I had been prescribed at one point. Xanax is something I took, on my own that I got off the street and shit. And fucking terrible. Oh, okay. I won't. Well, thank you anyway. Thank you to the person who just sent me a Cash App. I appreciate that very much. Jane Creek, if there was one thing that would have become a major issue with me, it would have been Xanax. The feeling of everything being awesome would have been very easy to get addicted to. Yeah, I guess if you see it that way, but for me on Xanax, everything wasn't awesome. Everything was a nightmare. Depending, like when you first take it for the day or whatever, yeah, everything is awesome. And then as you continue to, because usually you don't just take one, at least I didn't. I would take Xanax throughout my coke use for the day to keep my heart under control. Then I would start fucking hallucinating like a motherfucker. Next thing you know, a day or 2 or 3 passed and I hadn't slept. It's bad. Hey, live and let live. How are you? Yes, Happy New Year to you. Tears. My mom and dad met each other in AA during recovery from alcohol and addiction. Kind of crazy. I wouldn't be here if they didn't meet there. And I miss them both. Salute FBS. You're doing a good thing. Thank you, Tears. And I'm sorry for your losses. But isn't that some shit? It's crazy. You never know when you're going to meet somebody. You never know. It can happen at any given time, especially these days. I mean, I'm surprised we haven't had any major love connections from the fucking chat. I'm really surprised. I'll be honest with you. My only answer to that would be probably because the ratio of women to men in here. There's not many women in these chats. But who knows? Maybe we will. I used to do H, and the funny part is I quit because of the fentanyl. It wasn't the same. Glad I quit. I'm glad you did too, bro. Oh, thank you, Maddie G. I'm doing my best with the true crime. That really is my focus now. Like, really. I'm going to be doing more and more of those. And I might not have as big a crowd. I might not get as many views. I might not make as much money. But my goal is in the long run, that'll change. And I will, in the future, get more of all of those things. But I just enjoy it more. Like last night was a dope show. I think last night was great. Thank you for saying I'm doing a great job. I feel like shit. The 2 best couples on here are you and Shanna and Tony and Tina Soflo. I agree. Absolutely, yes. You mean even more than Lee and Angel? Just playing. Xanax and alcohol withdrawal will kill you. Well, not just Xanax, though. Benzos in general. Benzo, you could be addicted to Valium long enough and the withdrawal will kill you, or Ativan or Klonopin or any of those fucking things. Oh my God. Miss can't be wrong. I've told this story before, and so has Shanna, because obviously we both knew the guy. I was in rehab with him and Shanna treated him. There was a guy, very, very, very wealthy man. Matter of fact, if I were to ever tell you who he was, which I never would, you wouldn't know him by name, but you would know. Let's just say he was the heir to an enormous company. Okay. Very, very wealthy. The guy left rehab about 3 months after I did. And I talked to people at that rehab because I was still going back to speak and stuff. He left in a helicopter that took him to a limo that brought him home. You know what I mean? And he arrived there in a limo. He was extremely wealthy. His stay was 6 months long. And the final cost was about $265,000, I believe. Okay, this dude had all the money in the world, but he was a shut-in. And he was on Xanax for 20-something years. And yeah, that's why it took him 6 months in rehab of weaning him off little by little by little. And he was majorly agoraphobic from his addiction and everything else. Plus, he was a vet, so he had PTSD. The guy went through hell, and they would do little things for him, like to try to get him, to try to treat his agoraphobia. I remember they started taking him to the mall very early in the morning to walk around when there was only a few people in there. Then they would take him to Target to do a little shopping, and they would walk around with him, and then Walmart and, busier places at busier times of day and stuff. But yeah, just coming off the Xanax alone was hell for him. 6 months and over $250,000. FBS, not sure if you saw what I wrote. I was reading earlier. There's a recall. Yeah, I did. I saw it, but I don't take anything that starts with a Q. I'm not surprised. There's always something being recalled, and it seems like it's always a fucking blood pressure medication. Maddie G, I'm still fighting Xanax benzo addiction to this day. It's no joke, and I would not wish it on anyone. No, it's not. Live and let live. I'm good, FBS. Give my love to Shanna, and happy 2023 to you and the family. Same to you, and I will live and let live. Thank you. All right, guys, listen. Just because I'm, starting to feel worse as I go, I'm going to shut this down for now, guys. Maybe I'll try to take a little nap at some point. Hopefully I could do some sort of show tonight. I would like to, because I need to make a little scuttle, Be nice to make some money. But that's it for this one. We're just about at the hour mark, 59 minutes. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Sorry if I'm a little out of it today, but like I said, I'm not feeling well. So I appreciate you all. Please never forget that. I love you, and I feel like I owe you the world, each and every one of you. Your support means a lot to me. And I thank you for being here during these shows. We have 74 people, so that's not bad for an addiction and recovery show. Guys, remember these numbers at the bottom of the screen, okay? Let's get to them. Did I put the right fucking ticker up? Yes, I did. All right, write those numbers down. Put them in your pocket, purse, wallet, man bag. If you're a kangaroo, put them in your pouch, whatever, and keep them close by in case you ever need them. Do the best you can every day to try to be better than you were yesterday. Stay strong. Continue on the road to recovery. If you're currently addicted, do everything you can to reach out to someone and get yourself some help. And that's it, guys. All right, I'm always here if you need me, fatballeditalian@gmail.com. If there's anything I could do to help you, I'm always here. I love you all, and until next time, salute.